Part 15. After Rebirth, Boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, Beautiful. Chapter 141. Chapter 141, Poisoning Late at Night. On the blue team over there, Hanzinho and Suzaiwei couldn't help much. They could only watch Gusushi working in a hurry. Hanzinho looked at the red team who was enjoying their meal eagerly from the side. He thought he swallowed without leaving any trace, but Gu Liangzio saw it all. Let's all eat together. Hanzinho's eyes lit up, but he still hesitated and said, isn't this bad? You guys have worked so hard to find the ingredients. Hard. Gu Liangzio and Qin Shui recalled the scene when Yunsu speared fish, but they really didn't see how hard it was. Eat, we can't eat so much anyway, Yunsu said. Hanzinho immediately sat down happily, and Suzaiwei also sat down silently. The two of them drank a bowl of fish soup, and their whole bodies felt alive. Gu Liangzio took the fish from Gusushi's hand, put branches through it, set up a fire, and brushed the juice of an unknown fruit on the surface of the fish, which was also the fruit Yunsu found. The flames licked, and a strange fragrance spread out. Tear a piece of grilled fish into your mouth. The skin of the fish is slightly charred, but the meat inside is tender and has a slight fruity aroma, which leaves a fragrance on your lips and teeth. How about being more tactful when advertising, but just mentioning it so directly? Look at the sky, Qin Shui exclaimed, pointing to the sky. Let me ask Director Gu first, what was the one thing on the set that had the deepest impact on you? While preparing for the postgraduate entrance examination, I originally just played the live broadcast as background sound, but the moment I saw the scene, all the tension seemed to be relieved. The red team was so generous and shared it directly with the blue team. The six of them did not care about their appearance and sat in a circle next to the fire. The night was dark, and the sounds of waves, insects, and nature penetrated into their ears, but they made people feel a long-lost tranquility. The screen was suddenly filled with the names of the Chronicles of Tangan. What a beautiful starry sky! Children living in the city have never seen this kind of starry sky. The program team didn't stop it, it must be edible. It's good. It would be better if we weren't allowed to run all over the island, Hanzinho couldn't help but complain. I can smell the aroma of this grilled fish through the screen, woo woo woo. It's so healing, my heart calms down. Scenery that is difficult for people living in reinforced concrete cities to see appeared before their eyes. Their tense bodies and minds seemed to relax, and they smiled unconsciously. Let's talk about the things on the set. What kind of fruit is that? Is it really edible? We'll not have any problems. The director pretended not to hear. As everyone knows, we have 4 guests today who are all from the same crew. Come, after dinner advertising session. How are you feeling today? The director asked. Gu Liangzio pondered for a while and said, although Xiaosu does not have many roles in this drama, book fans should know that her role is very important. What I am going to talk about is one of the scenes where she needs to jump from the tower. When she came down, she was supposed to use the wire, but something happened at that time. The wire came loose, but she jumped down intact from the tower, which was about 3 or 4 meters high. The girl in charge at that time was so frightened that she jumped down. Xiaosu went to comfort her, and I still feel scared when I think about it. A few people raised their heads, the camera moved up, and the mysterious and vast starry sky fell into their eyes. The sky was full of stars twinkling, and the shocking beauty was breathtaking. That's not the case? Waiting for you to guess? Everyone's eyes widened, they didn't expect such a thrilling thing to happen in the crew. It's so terrible, I'm scared to death just thinking about it. Woo woo woo, our sister is just a teenage girl, we are still a child ourselves and have to comfort others when we are out of danger, it's so heartwarming. How can such a high tower remain intact without we jumping off it? Director Gu, are you sure you're not kidding me? Is she superhuman? People said it was an accident, but they didn't say it was because there was no Wea. Susu, have you ever practiced martial arts before? Qin Shuer asked impatiently. If she was a little unwilling to play Yunsu as Princess Jining before, she no longer had such thoughts. Well, I have practiced some self-defense, Yunsu said vaguely. It's not just for self-defense. Gu Liangziu saw how modest Yunsu was, and immediately said, she did all the fighting scenes in the film by herself, and never used a stand-in. Even Lao Sun said that this child practiced its real skill. The old Sun Gu Liangziu refers to as his royal martial arts instructor Sun Hyang, a master of martial arts level in China. A person even Sun Hyang admits, awesome. I just want to know, which window has God closed for my sister? My sister doesn't know how to cook, so she has closed the window on her cooking skills, ha ha ha. I graduated from New Oriental, can I apply to cook for my sister? I am also a 3-star Michelin chef. Wow. You're so handsome, Sister Xiaoun, look at me, can I still learn martial arts? Han Xingyo asked eagerly. To be honest, what I wanted to learn when I was young was not dancing, but martial arts. Woo, I once asked my parents to send me to Shaolin. Yunsu looked at Han Xingyo carefully. She was a doctor and could easily see the human skeleton. It's already too late. You mean it would be fine if I went to primary school, right? Han Xingyo said regretfully. Yunsu was silent for 2 seconds, and then said honestly, I'm afraid it wasn't very good when I was young. Everyone couldn't help but laugh. Han Xingyo couldn't believe it, his martial arts dream was shattered like this. Ha 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 ha, the one who hit the child looked dazed. Does learning martial arts really depend on one's bones? I am a martial arts student, to be honest. This innate condition is very important, just like what is said in fantasy novels. There is a bottleneck between people with poor foundation and talent and those with talent. It is very difficult, hard to break. Why does it become more and more mysterious the more you talk about it? Su Ziwei looked at the people who praised Yunsu, his eyes darkened, and he said casually, it's a pity that Xiaoun came to the entertainment industry just to experience it, not his ambition. Otherwise, with Xiaoun's qualifications and conditions, he would soon be. We old people in the entertainment industry have to step down and make way for others. She said this in front of so many audiences just to block Yunsu's development in the entertainment industry. Anyway, she said herself that she would not get involved in the entertainment industry again. Wait, what do you mean? Will Yunsu continue to develop in the entertainment industry? Yes, she has said it before, so she has her sister's program, watch it and cherish it. No, I just fell in love with her. Did you know such a cruel thing? Cried. Gu Liangziu glanced at her and said with unclear meaning, Xiao Su is a person who shines wherever she is. No matter what industry she is in, unlike me, she only has to eat this bowl of rice. It's not that he can't understand what Su Ziwei means, his acting skills are good, but he's just a little too narrow-minded. Although Qin Shuer is young, she has been in the industry for so many years and has never seen any monsters. She can tell at a glance that Su Ziwei has an inexplicable hostility towards Yunsu. She glanced at Su Ziwei sympathetically, but don't offend Yunsu without being cautious, otherwise, it won't be useful no matter what movie queen you are. Why do I always feel that Su Ziwei's words are a bit strange? Is it my imagination? Wu Ziwei just said it casually, and what we said is also true. Are you sure Gu Dao is not in Versailles? What do you mean you can only eat this bowl of rice? Other directors would cry when they hear that. What about sushi? What was the biggest difficulty in filming this movie? Seeing that the atmosphere was a bit delicate, the director quickly asked someone else. Gu Sushi fell into memories. That was probably the last scene with Susu, the one where she delayed her life for my safety and finally died for the country. This scene required strong emotional support, and it was very difficult to follow afterward. When I come out, the emotion that almost overwhelms me is still very scary. The stamina of that scene was so great that he seemed to have really become Yu Tan-jun, and his sister's face was the only thing in his dream. Yes, after the scene, I specifically asked Sushi to go back and rest for 2 days, otherwise he would be in such a bad state that he would not be able to continue filming, Gu Liangzio testified. Yunsu glanced in surprise. How could she not know? Wasn't there anything unusual about Gu Sushi's situation at that time? Gu Sushi whispered, you will be finished by then. What about Ziwei? How do you understand the role you play? The director also noticed that the topic seemed to revolve around Yunsu, and took the initiative to Kyusu Ziwei. The role of Qing Miao is relatively complicated. Although she is a noble woman from a high family, she is also very concerned about the suffering of the people. She is not willing to stay in the boudoir her whole life. After taking in the escaped male protagonist, she slowly awakens her independent consciousness. In my opinion, the relationship between her and the male protagonist is a mutual achievement. Su Ziwei said what she had already prepared. Sure enough, Gu Liangzio nodded and agreed with Su Ziwei's understanding of the characters. No matter what others say, Su Ziwei's business ability and acting skills are nothing to complain about. She is worthy of being a double golden actress. Ziwei is really worthy of every role she plays and interprets them well. I hope everyone will look forward to Qing Miao in the story of Tengen. Director Gu nodded, and the book fans all agreed the most rare thing about the story of Tengen is that no matter what character is in it, there is no forced intelligence. Although it is a plot with a male protagonist, the male protagonist, the halo is not very big, and the characters are full and vivid. I hope the drama version will have the feeling of a novel. It feels like it looks good. Squat down and take a look when the time comes. A few people were talking and laughing. Time passed quickly. The fire was extinguished. The sound of waves hitting the rocks became louder, and everyone became a little tired. How about everyone take a rest early? It's not too early, Gu Liangzio said. Okay, good night everyone. Good night. Conditions were limited, so a few people simply washed their faces with limited water, and then got into sleeping bags. It was a cold night, so several people slept with their clothes on. Fortunately, the banana leaves protected them from a lot of wind, so they did not have trouble sleeping. The live broadcast room also darkened, and the audience reluctantly exited. End of this chapter. After Rebirth, Boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 142. Chapter 142 Breakfast Game. The next day, when the sun crossed the horizon and the first ray of light rose, Yunsu had already gotten up and started running. The air on the island was extremely fresh. She ran around the island for a week and broke out a little sweat. Xiaosu, are you up so early again? Gu Liangzio walked out of the tent and said with a smile. When filming on the set before, no matter how late the day before, Yunsu would get up and run on time the next day. Please come, it's worth it that I was squatting in the live broadcast room early in the morning. This face is full of collagen, my sister really has no makeup. This regular schedule is really unlike a child of her age, they are too self-disciplined. Not long after, other people got up one after another and washed their faces with the filtered seawater last night. They were not able to put on makeup. Except for Su Ziwei, who applied sunscreen, everyone else almost appeared without makeup. Everyone can see it is a little rough with the naked eye. Once a woman is over 25 years old, time will indeed leave traces on her face. Su Ziwei obviously doesn't look as bright and delicate as yesterday, and Yunsu and Qin Shuai don't look much different. The biggest highlight of this variety show is that it is real, and it is not a beauty pageant. It's like this: considering that everyone was very tired yesterday, we have prepared a sumptuous breakfast for everyone to enjoy today. The director smiled like a fox. It seems that everyone understands our rules. We are basically actors. What is the basic skill of an actor? Yes, it is to memorize lines. No, it's salty tofu pudding. The first few passed smoothly, followed by Chin Schwetter, who kept chanting in her mouth for fear of forgetting. The sixth course is pan-fried buns, the seventh course is fried dough sticks, and the eighth course is sweet tofu pudding. He breathed a sigh of relief. Okay, Yunsu nodded. Seeing this, Su Ziwei took the initiative and said, then in order it will be Gudeo, Sinyo, Schwetter, me and Sushi. Each of us will write down 3 questions. Xiao Su's words will be last. You are a student and your grades are so good. My memory should be better than ours, so I'll ask you to remember the last 5, okay? Okay, time's up. Su 11 was slightly stunned. The 9th course is sweet tofu pudding, and the 8th course is salty tofu pudding. Are you ready? The director opened the tablecloth. The 10-second countdown begins. Yunsu looked at Chin Schwetter and said, you are right. A few people stared intently at the dishes they were responsible for, writing down the order and names of the dishes. Look, the result of going your own way. The second one was answered by Han Xingyo, the fourth one is beef noodles, the fifth one is mutton noodles, and the sixth one is pancakes and fruit. Feasible. The director opened the tablecloth and said, wrong answer, the sixth person was Tianduhua. Yunsu was non-committal. The director smiled and greeted, did everyone sleep well last night? Chin Schwetter Nyanyo, it's not good to offend her, then, okay. After everyone had just taken a look, the director took a white cloth and covered it again. Gu Sushi thought for a while and said, this time there will be no red and blue teams. There are 6 of us. We can divide the work and each person can remember 2 or 3 dishes. It is not difficult. Chin Schwetter was also stunned, but I remember it was sweet bean curd. Good. This is too difficult. How can it be done? Han Xingyo wailed, I'm not an actor, I don't have to be included, right? Our game is also very simple. There are 20 kinds of breakfasts on the red and blue tables today. We will give you 10 seconds to remember the positions. I will shuffle the order later and ask everyone to restore it and say their names. If we make a mistake, we will just withdraw. Several guests looked at each other and said, tell me, what do you want us to do? Others also said it was okay. Good. Director, please agree on one answer. How is it possible to memorize the order and names of 15 dishes in 10 seconds? Actually, good study does not mean good memory. I am an example. Is this what you were just bragging about? Tisk tisk tisk. It's so funny, the program team tried all these tricks, but it turns out that there is no such thing as a free breakfast. Su Ziwei immediately looked at her, his face darkening. I stick to my answer. No. No one has objected, so it's your turn to be opposed by monsters like you? After everyone put away and folded the tent, the director walked out pushing a dining cart filled with a dazzling array of breakfast items. Yes, our Ziwei's dialogue skills have always been good. How could she make this mistake? The staff immediately came forward and removed the 2 dishes. Although no one said anything, Su Ziwei still looked a little confused. Chin Schwetter herself is not sure. Why is Yunsu so sure? Director Gu remembers it very clearly. The first one is Shanchen noodles, the second one is Hu spicy soup, and the third one is crab powder buns. Lumscene's in on my sister. The one that will be remembered the most by your sister is just because she won't refuse. Speechless, how did she get so confident? He also scorned others. Okay, the second round begins. Gu Sushi pursed his lips and said, everyone should be more careful this time. There are exactly 3 for each person. The director disrupted the order and opened the tablecloth. 10, 9, 8. Gu Liangziu, pancake fruit, beef pot stickers, and beef noodles. Katakawa crab meat buns, and fried eel noodles. Spicy soup, pan-fried buns, and mutton noodles. After finishing speaking, everyone looked at the director expectantly. The director smiled slightly and said, The order is correct, but the name of one dish is wrong. It's not Katakawa it's Katakawa which is a delicacy from Hangzhou. My problem, Hanzingyo was annoyed. I already told you that my memory is not good. Don't talk about him, I'm going to be delirious and hungry even with this pile of breakfast in front of me. I am hungry too. Why is it that I'm so hungry for food so early in the morning? Look at the child being greedy, director, just give it to him. I'm speechless. We were scolding 11 Wei just now when he made a mistake, but now we're going to excuse him. The main person has a very good attitude. He admits his mistake directly and doesn't hold back like Su Ziwei. No, just watching a variety show, why are you so sincere? Yunsu had exhausted her energy in the morning and was already hungry. She didn't want to waste any more time and asked, "Can I finish it all at once?" Then she added, "The dishes will be cold later." The director couldn't laugh or cry. Are you saying you want to challenge one person to complete the memorization? Well, save time. The director readily agreed, "Okay, I'll give you a chance, but if you fail the challenge we will deduct 3 dishes. Okay, Yunsu nodded indifferently. What about others, do you agree? Gu Liangzia was the first to agree. I agree. Qin Shuer, I agree too. Okay, it doesn't matter if you lose. Anyway, I was eating with Sister Xiaoun last night, Hanzingyo said nonchalantly. Gu Sushi also nodded. Everyone agreed. Su Ziwei could only nod reluctantly. Why should he be so tolerant to her? No, what is this Yunsu doing? This isn't the time to be in the limelight, right? Yes, someone obviously doesn't want to agree to it, and this is not her fault in the first place. Then why didn't you say anything when we ate someone else's food last night? Funny. Yunsu, let's get started. The director quickly disrupted the order and opened the tablecloth. 10 seconds countdown. Yunsu glanced at it casually and covered the tablecloth again. Fried liver, beef noodles, pancakes and fruit, duck blood vermicelli soup, mutton powder, crab meat buns, spicy soup, fried eel noodles, pan-fried buns, beef pot stickers, fried dough sticks. Yunsu finished in one breath without pausing. 17 dishes. The director paused and said, "Correct answer." Susu, your memory is too good, Qin Shuer said excitedly. Hanzingyo praised, "Sister Xiaoun, you are amazing." I was dumbfounded by this. Is this the legendary photographic memory? I took a screenshot and didn't even remember it. Su Ziwei's expression changed. Can you remember why you didn't say anything just now? It embarrassed her. Yunsu glanced at her lightly. Didn't you make all the arrangements then? Su 11 choked slightly. Ha 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 ha, you've already arranged it, why are you asking me? Su Ziwei is really unfavorable like this. If you win, if you don't tell me earlier, then if you lose, you won't be trolled to death? Yes, it was she herself who caused the loss to everyone, and she still blamed others. Everyone can enjoy breakfast now. I've been hungry for a long time. I don't know how the program team brought so many kinds of breakfast to the island, but everyone had a great time. The eel in this fried eel noodle is so fresh. This is what whose spicy soup tastes like, thick. Without adding anything, this is the authentic pancake fruit. I can't stand it any longer. Even if I do it late at night, why do I start doing it in the morning? Don't panic, call mom first. Okay, everyone has almost eaten. Let's start our last step immediately. If we want to leave Lizhu Island, we need to find a token on the island. We won't divide into groups this time. As long as someone finds it, it will count. Token. Yes, let me remind you, this token is something we have seen since we arrived on the island. Aren't you talking nonsense? Hanzingyo complained. We have almost traveled all over this island, of course we have seen it all. The director turned a deaf ear and said, there is no time limit, everyone can start. Let's go separately to save time. How about we divide into 3 groups, Gusushi said. Okay, I want to be with Susu, Qin Shui immediately replied. Somehow, staying with Yunsu would make her feel safe. Being beaten to the punch, Gu Liangzio turned around and said casually, then why don't you team up with me? He was talking about Hanxingyo, and Hanxingyo quickly agreed, okay. The only group left was Su Zaiwei and Gusushi. Gusushi's face turned cold, and Su 11 slightly raised a smile, but he didn't notice it. Everyone, let's go. Yunsu and Qin Shui took the opposite path from yesterday. The sun was very bright today, and the light shone in through the gaps between the leaves, condensing the shapes. Be careful, Yunsu walked in front, pushing aside the overgrown grass. Even if the program team had checked the island and determined that there was no danger, they could not be careless. Okay, Qin Shui followed behind, one step at a time. What are the things that have appeared? Qin Shui was confused. If she was not sure what it was, it would be too difficult to find an unknown thing on the island. Yunsu didn't even look back, it's Hanxingyo's harpoon. Huh, how do you know? Qin Shui was stunned. Where did you see this? First of all, it can't be any flora and fauna on the island. Then it's almost impossible. Since it's a token of the island and something we've seen, it's probably something we brought ourselves. The most important thing is, do you know the shape of Lizhu Island? What? Lizhu Island has a nickname called the Crown of the Sea, which comes from the shape of the island. Think about it, what does the crown look like? Harpoon, Qin Shui said excitedly. By the way, so what we are looking for is the harpoon. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After Rebirth, Boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 143. Chapter 143 Live Broadcasting Accident. Where can I find a harpoon, big or small? Qin Shui said. Yunsu said calmly, the island is not big, so let's take a look around. Sushi, what exactly do you think we are looking for? Su Zaiwei said softly. Gusushi walked in front and said with a neutral expression, I don't know. Can you walk slower? My feet hurt. No, I'm in a hurry. Why is Su Zaiwei so squeamish? It wasn't long before my feet hurt, and the 2 younger sisters didn't say anything. Who should she show her tea that smells like tea? Don't you want to talk to Su when you don't see anyone looking at her? It would be bad luck to be in the same group as her. Isn't Gusushi too unkind? There is no gentlemanly manner at all, and he doesn't know how to take care of girls. Fish, isn't it enough to catch my whole family? Yunsu looked into the pond, as if sensing danger. A few fish swimming happily swam away quickly with their tails wagging. Good. Susu, what do you think that is? Qin Shui suddenly pointed forward and said. Really, step aside and block my Sunday, Gu Liangzio said perfunctorily. Director Gu, do you think I have any talent for acting? Really? Hanxingyo sat up instantly and said excitedly. Sushi, you are so smart. Su 11's eyes were filled with admiration. It should be a clue. Yunsu reached out to take it off and opened the note. Tai Chi, there was a Tai Chi pattern printed on the note. Let's look again and see if there are any clues. The reference answers were all given to him, but he didn't even know what they were. Then let's look for it together. Gu Liangzio was too embarrassed to lie down any longer. Qin Shui was stunned by this analysis and could only nod and say yes. The sun is just right, let's take a look. Do you have any clues? I'm not smart. The above hints are obvious. Gusushi still had the same plain expression. I think it's okay. Gu Liangzio's voice was already sleepy. Gudeo, Sinyo, why are you two here? Qin Shui asked in shock. The two people in front of her were very comfortable lying on the rocks. Let's go. Putting away the note, he continued to move forward, regardless of whether Su Ziwei could keep up. Su, where is the steel fork? The two of them had arrived at the small pool yesterday. Qin Shuer looked around and found nothing. Gu Dao, why don't we just lie here? Let them find it. The sun was so warm that it was hard to open one's eyes, and he really didn't want to move. My steel fork. Han Xingyo sat up, confused. Why didn't I notice it was missing? Han Xingyo hasn't noticed that his harpoon is gone yet? Yunsu looked over and saw a piece of paper tied with a red ribbon on a branch, with a small camera on it. Fish, danger, danger, danger. The camera switched to Gu Liangxiu and Han Xingyo. It was a completely different style of painting. The two were lying leisurely on a big rock to bask in the sun. Gu Sushi over there successfully got the second clue, reaching for the stars. Let's go see those two teams. You have a talent for comedy. Anyway, as long as someone is found, they can leave, so why worry? Laugh to death, the child does have a talent for comedy. So we were looking for a harpoon. Gu Sushi understood instantly. Isn't it the steel fork that we have all seen before? It seems to be Xiao Su and the others. Gu Liangxiu heard Yun Su's voice. Why aren't you two in a hurry? I can't wait to tell you in your ears. Yes, what we are looking for is the steel fork you brought. It should be nearby. The spring shore of the forked fish is broad, and the prosperity comes in the middle of the night. Gu Su also found a clue, which was a poem. The two of them searched everywhere carefully. Who's coming? Han Xingyo heard a commotion in a daze. What does it mean? Yish, I don't know why, but I always feel like someone is trying to harm me. Without thinking, Yunsu said, Tai Chi represents yin and yang. The most obvious contrast between yin and yang on this island is the contrast between mountains and rivers. It should be the small pool we went to yesterday. Let's go and have a look. Are these two people too lazy? Anyway, feel free to look for it. Could it be at a high place? Su Ziwei analyzed. It's possible. Gu Sushi looked up and saw that the tallest tree on the island was behind them to the right. Go that way. After a while, the three parties successfully met near Ziotan. Let's all search next to each other. The six people started a carpet-like search around Ziotan. The sun gradually rose, and the warmth gradually turned into a bit dry. The few people still found nothing, and Han Xingyo sat down on the big rock again. Holy shit, what's so shiny? Han Xingyo felt his eyes were dazzled by some light. He raised his eyes and looked over. Wait, isn't that? There, he shouted excitedly. Where is it? Where is it? Several people gathered around him instantly. Han Xingyo pointed to a higher place and said, there. Several people raised their heads together and saw that it was the steel fork hanging on a big tree next to them. It was difficult to see under the green leaves. The reflected light under the sunlight hit Han Xingyo's eyes, otherwise they might have to do it. It took a lot of effort. But how to get this? Several people were in trouble. Visually, the steel fork on the tree was at least 5 or 6 meters high from them. Throughout the iron shoes, there is nowhere to be found. It takes no effort at all to get there. Is this the so-called stupid blessing for stupid people? They both lay there for so long without noticing. The program team is also ruthless, and they set it so high. How can I get it? I can climb trees. Han Xingyo was eager to try. How can you climb so high? There are no protective measures. It's too dangerous. No way. Several people objected. Yunsu checked the height and said, the steel fork is a bit heavy, so it shouldn't be tied very tightly. Let's try to see if it can be lowered. Hit me down. Su Ziwei couldn't help but taunted, you think you're making a martial arts movie? If you're so high, what do you use to beat me down? Yunsu didn't answer her words, but searched around on the ground and picked up a thin and sharp piece of stone. That's not necessarily true. After seeing Yunsu's fishing technique yesterday, Qin Shuer felt that it was not impossible. Yunsu took a few steps back and looked carefully at the position of the steel fork on the tree. He held the stone piece between his index and middle fingers on his right hand, placed it on his left shoulder, and threw it upwards with force. In an instant, the stone piece was spinning upwards. Flying away, several people turned their heads in perfect agreement, only to hear a click sound. The branch tied with the steel fork broke and the stone fragments fell down together. No one paid attention to the steel fork. Everyone ran over and took a look. The fallen branches were neatly broken, as if they had been cut by a sharp weapon. Holy shit, Han Xingyo looked at Yunsu seriously. Sister Xiaoun, tell me honestly, which sect are you from? Others were also surprised. Gu Liangzio looked at Yunsu. It seemed that she had restrained herself during filming. I blurt out this shit. I feel numb every time I see Yunsu's footage. My worldview is refreshed. No, is this really not a martial arts film? At such a high distance, and still upward, a small piece of stone can have such great power. This is the legendary saying that picking leaves and flying flowers can hurt people, right? Should I go to the Public Security Bureau to file a case? The director who was staring at the camera was also paralyzed. The thing they had after so much effort was so easily removed. Who is this Yunsu? However, looking at the soaring popularity of the live broadcast room, the director smiled. So you got the token. Qin Shuer still couldn't believe it. What if, Yunsu picked up the steel fork on the ground, and the others were about to leave? Su Ziwei, who was slapped in the face again, looked a little unhappy. Yunsu glanced at her and froze in an instant. Don't move. Why don't move? I didn't believe it just now. I told you not to move. Yunsu shouted sharply, and the steel fork in his hand shot out quickly, grazed Su Ziwei's ear, and nailed it to a tree behind her. Ah, Su Ziwei screamed after being stunned for 2 seconds, what are you doing? Are you sick? The feeling of oppression in her heart when the sharp object passed her almost made her faint, and the string in her brain suddenly collapsed. No, Sister Ziwei, behind you. Shut up. Su Ziwei no longer concealed her malice and looked at Qin Shuer fiercely. How much benefit has she given you as a young girl who has just debuted? What is it worth for you to speak for her like this? I really underestimated her. Gu Liangzio's face suddenly changed, and now he is live broadcasting. Is Su Ziwei crazy? Director, do you want to cut off the live broadcast screen? The staff member's question came from the intercom, and the live broadcast room was now in a state of rapid refreshment. The director also frowned, and after thinking for 2 seconds, he said, no need. Their program originally strives to be real, and the live broadcast cannot be interrupted no matter what happens. As for their own affairs, they can solve their own problems. That's enough. Gu Sushi frowned, his face cold. Before you accuse others indiscriminately, can you look at what's going on? You're not a newcomer who doesn't understand anything, are you? As soon as Gu Sushi spoke, Su Ziwei regained some of his lost sanity. Watch your back. Gu Liangzio looked ugly. Su 11 turned his head slightly, and saw that the steel fork nailed to the tree actually passed through a snake, just 7 inches away from the snake. It was still breathing, its big eyes were glowing green, and it was spitting out snake letters. Ah! Su Ziwei screamed crazily and jumped 3 meters away in an instant, shaking like chaff. Why is there a snake? Do you know this? Qin Shuer sneered. She was not that good-tempered. She could still smile when someone pointed at her nose and scolded her. Susu saved you, what are you doing? Is this the style of a senior? Su Ziwei's face turned pale and his heart was beating wildly. Can't she tell her in advance? I must be scared. A few people looked at her like she was an idiot. Gu Sushi's eyebrows furrowed deeper and deeper. Should we wait until the snake bites your neck? Su 11 was slightly angry. Yunsu was the calmest one. She immediately pulled out the steel fork and said, "Let's go as soon as we get the things." Su Ziwei didn't even give Su Ziwei a glance, as if he wasn't worth her attention at all. Qin Shuer snorted loudly and followed Yunsu. The others ignored Su Ziwei and left. I am sorry. Is Su Ziwei really crazy? Just repaying kindness with hatred? Really, at that moment, Su Ziwei's expression was scarier than that of a snake. He had always been so gentle and generous in the past. It was just a human design. Nima, my heart stopped when I saw that snake. People must have been frightened by Yunsu's sudden move. Speechless, is being scared an excuse? She didn't listen to what others said, and what she said was obviously that she had been dissatisfied with Sister Yunsu for a long time. What bad luck, this is the real-life version of the farmer and the snake. If you ask me, I shouldn't have saved her. Qin Shuer is so strong. Love it, love it. Gu Dao's face looked ugly. Tisk tisk tisk, he was obviously here for publicity, but he ended up like this. In a sense, this is also propaganda. What on earth are the program crew doing? There were poisonous mushrooms yesterday, and snakes appeared again today. It's too unsafe. Fortunately, there is Sister Yunsu, otherwise it would have been an accident on the show. To be fair, snakes that shuttle around cannot be definitely detected, right? Moreover, isn't the scene where the two major actresses are scolding each other a live broadcast accident? End of this chapter. After Rebirth, Boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 144. Chapter 144 Aerospace Expert. On Weibo's hot search list, several terms have soared up. Saturday Night Live broadcast accident. Qin Shuer and Su Ziwei scolded each other. Yunsu steel-forked hydralisk. Realistic farmer and snake. Gu Sushi was so cold and angry. Holy shit, shit, shit. Weibo netizens immediately went to 3 times when they saw these hot search terms, and immediately clicked on them. Is this really a live variety show? Is there anyone professional in Yunsu who can take a look and see how it is done? More than this paragraph, I suggest you watch the live replay, it's outrageous. I have a screen recording. Look at the first article on my homepage. The live broadcast room, which was already stuck and struggling to maintain itself, finally couldn't hold on anymore due to the influx of a large number of people, and the server crashed. Qin Shuer curled her lips. Why is a student in Yunsu busier than her? After saying goodbye to several other people, Yunsu left in the car. The remaining few people were also picked up by assistants, and after saying hello, they all left. Is this the true face of the double golden movie queen? Horrible. No, I just said a few words casually. Is it that serious? Su Ziwei panicked instantly. This sister is so miserable. Even if you save someone, you'll get slapped on the face. Several people boarded the ferry. Su Ziwei wanted to say something several times, but everyone looked cold, so she just stopped talking. It was impossible for her to apologize in a low voice. Susu, you must come and play with me when you have time. Qin Shuer was a little reluctant. She had been on the set since she was a child, and there were few peers with whom she got along well. Good. I didn't do anything? What's wrong? Su Ziwei was confused. She hadn't realized the seriousness of the matter. Congratulations to everyone for successfully finding the token of the outlying island. The director took the steel fork from Yunsu's hand, looked at the few people who looked calm, and stopped talking nonsense. We have completed the final task, everyone can leave by ferry. Thank you again. Come to the show of Saturday night, we are destined to meet again. Su Ziwei seems to have that serious illness, doesn't he have a brain? Now there is no way to continue recording this scene. Anyway, the show's explosive points are enough, so we don't have to worry about the ratings after it is edited later. Hurry up and watch. Seriously? Didn't you see your expression and the expressions of the other guests, especially director Gu, who made such a fuss on the variety show he was promoting? Do you think he will want to use you in the future? There are other people who are good friends with him. Where are the people? The circle of directors is very small, but you're going to be famous among them now. Hello, Sister Zhang, Su Ziwei answered the phone. Su Ziwei. You were on the show, but what did you do? The manager's roar came from the other side of the phone. You didn't do anything. The hot searches on Weibo exploded. The clip of you bullying a little girl like a lunatic went viral. Do you know what people on the internet are saying about you now? They say you act like a big star. They say you bully newcomers. The company's public relations department can't handle it. You'd better give me an explanation. Before, Su Ziwei's fans even dragged our brother into the hype, and they had the nerve to say that the two of them were golden boys and girls. It was really shameless. Han Xingyo was watching from the side, not daring to vent his anger, and looked in a dilemma that made me laugh to death. My God! I have never seen our brother's face look so ugly. He was really angry. Why did Qin Shuer get involved? I remember her relationship with Su Ziwei was pretty good. Do you feel that your current position is very stable? Let me tell you, it doesn't matter if you win 2 Best Actresses. As long as you have a little bit of dirty information, netizens, your opponents, and a lot of people are waiting to see your good show. You really have been living too peacefully recently, right? The company has already told me to reduce your recent work and make less public appearances. Also, I don't care why you targeted her, apologize to people on Weibo right now. After saying that, the agent hung up the phone. Su Ziwei clutched her cell phone, her joints turning white. She had been in the industry for more than 10 years. Ever since she won her first Best Actress trophy, her agent had never spoken to her like this. She didn't understand why she was the victim. Is she also the one being blamed? Su, did you see, Su Ziwei apologized to you on Weibo. Not long after leaving, Qin Shuer sent another message. Yunsu glanced at it and said, not interested. In that situation, she would have saved anyone no matter who it was. It was just a matter of convenience, and she didn't have to ask anyone to be grateful. Still didn't sleep well last night. Yunsu closed her eyes and rested after getting on the plane. On Weibo, Su Ziwei apologized sincerely. The trend on the internet changed slightly, and her fans quickly cleared her up. Many people also began to speak for her, feeling that she might not be able to react in the circumstances at that time, and her emotions were a bit out of control. But not long after, a big marketing V posted on Weibo and exposed a video of Su Ziwei slapping a staff member on the set. In an instant, her reputation hit rock bottom again, and no passers-by could speak for her anymore, only her die-hard fans. Fan is still insisting. Qin Shuer's heart skipped a beat when she saw the large number of negative comments on the internet. She had a terrible guess. Such a vigorous and resolute method to release Su Ziwei's dirty information so quickly could not be the work of her uncle. Bar. She shuddered and didn't dare to think about it further. Lanchange Airport. Ms. Yoon, is it fun to record the show? Yang Xiao took the thing from Yoon Su's hand. Yoon Su thought for a while and said, it's not bad. The fish on the island are quite delicious. Yang Xiao smiled. Don't worry about some irrelevant people, we will deal with them. Yunsu nodded, knowing that he was talking about Su Ziwei, and suddenly asked, you won't have people following me on the island, right? Yang Xiao was silent for a moment and admitted, we have people on the program team. It's pretty awesome. Yunsu was sincerely impressed. Being able to place people on the program team in such a short period of time shows how powerful the state machine is. Are you going home now or going to the institute? Over there, the aerospace experts are here. Let's go to the institute. Okay, please get in the car. Miss Yun, please give me your ID card and certificate. Yang Xiao handed the things to Yun Su. He was here to give her the certificate. From today on, she will be the official assistant researcher of Lanchinge First Research Institute. It's still early, so you can go and have a look. Lanchinge First Research Institute, in a certain conference room, nationally renowned aerospace experts and materials experts gathered here. Lao Fu, I didn't expect you to come to Lanchinge too. The speaker was Lise Hixie, a professor at the China University of Aeronautics and Astronautics. The person he called Lao Fu was Fu Ruoshan, a famous Chinese aerospace expert who had been a participant in many aerospace projects. How could I still sit still after receiving that kind of news? The two looked at each other. Their words were not very clear, but they both understood each other's meaning. New materials that can greatly improve the performance of spacecraft in all aspects. Almost everyone who could sit still rushed to Lanchinge as soon as they received the news. Speaking of Lanchinge, the two of them are still confused about why Lanchinge is chosen for aerospace projects. It's not that Lanchinge's scientific research technology is high, but that the research on aerospace alone lacks experimental conditions. I just don't know how credible it is. I heard that the leader and initiator of this project is very young. Yunsu's information is kept confidential. The experts here do not have specific information about her, and all they have received are fragments of information about this project. No matter how many points there are, it's not a loss to come here. If anything happens, it will be a big deal. Fu Ruoshan sighed, and the higher UPS have decided to ask us people to come. No matter what, we have 3 points. I would rather believe that it exists than believe that it does not exist. Who says it's not the case? Look at Xie Ling over there. His workaholic is here. Xie Ling, as Lise Hixie said, is indeed a workaholic. He is already here and is still busy working with his notebook. In the corner of the conference room, 2 people were whispering. Team leader, aren't we going to do our own project? Why are we here? Zhang Qiao asked in a low voice. He Renping had just arrived after 2 long nights of work. He closed his eyes and said, we are almost finished over there. This is a project that the higher authorities attach great importance to, and it is also about aerospace. But, why do I have to come too? Monk Zhang Qiao Zhang was confused. He had only been involved in the Peregrine Falcon project for a short time, so why did he jump here? Still such an important project. He Renping opened his eyes and looked at him, his eyes full of confusion. Actually, I also want to ask this question. Bringing Zhang Qiao to this project was an order from above, and he didn't understand why. Zhang Qiao continued to write his calculation formula in his notebook, but at this moment, he thought of Yunsu at an inappropriate time. If she were here, this kind of calculation formula could be solved in 2 or 3 times. How could he delay it for so long? When will the meeting start? Didn't it say 3 o'clock? Xie Ling looked at his watch, a little anxious. He had other work. Please wait a moment, everyone. We have received a temporary notice and the leader of our project will rush over soon to talk to you in detail. The guard at the door came in to report. What? The leader is coming. Everyone's emotions suddenly became excited, and Xie Ling even put down what he was doing. Originally, this meeting was just a meeting for experts to discuss the feasibility of the project and express their opinions. Now that the leader is coming, the nature and importance of this meeting will immediately change. Xiao Zhang, are you ready? Ready. Zhang Qiao hurriedly put away the notebook and turned on the computer. Inside was some information about the Peregrine Falcon project. They were going to use this as an entry point to express their opinions. Of course, these information can be published for everyone to see. Of those, Miss Yun, the experts are all inside, please come in. Yang Xiao opened the door of the conference room for Yunsu. Everyone present looked over. End of this chapter. After Rebirth, boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 145. Chapter 145 Initial Meeting. Everyone was a little disappointed when they saw a little girl with a ponytail entering the door. "Which expert's assistant are you? Come in quickly," Furuoshin said warmly, feeling good about her. It was not easy for this little girl to participate in this project at such a young age. Yunsu raised his eyebrows, nodded and said nothing. "Yunshin, why are you here too?" Zhang Qiao shouted excitedly. He had just thought of her, but she appeared in front of him right away. He Renping's eyes also lit up. "Xiao Su, you're here too. I knew that with your talent, I would be able to see you again soon. Come and sit down." "No, team leader." He Renping nodded clearly, thinking that she really came as someone's assistant. Then, he watched helplessly as Yunsu walked straight to the main seat in the conference room. Yang Xiao, who was following behind, stepped forward and pulled out a chair for her. Yunsu sat down like a group of 5 people. The meeting room fell silent for a moment. He Renping and Zhang Qiao's smiles froze on their faces, and their expressions did not change, but became distorted. It was deathly silent, no one spoke as if they were stupid. Lise Hixie said quickly, "Lao Xie, wait a minute, you should listen to it first." Although he also felt that it was very unreliable, it was impossible for the higher UPS to bring these people together to play a prank. "Major Yang, what's going on?" Lise Hixie, who knew Yang Xiao, asked with a frown. "What's there to say, it's just a waste of my time. As we all know, aerogel is a colloidal system with solid characteristics and a 3-dimensional network structure formed by the aggregation of fine particles. There are many types of aerogels, including silicon-based and carbon-based." Yunsu spoke in a calm and slow tone. What she said was true. She really knew Xia Ling's thesis very well, and the suggestions she made were not without purpose. "I'm honored to read your paper on ultralight aerospace materials aerogels published in Nature last year." She greeted everyone with a smile. "Hello everyone, I am Yunsu. I am very happy to be sitting here with you." The computer he closed opened again, and many experts also took out their notebooks and started recording. "I can't speak highly of it, but I have a little suggestion here, which may help to further reduce the weight of aerogel." Yunsu looked at the experts and researchers in the conference room, and it really gave her enough cards. They seemed to really attach great importance to this project, even if she only mentioned it briefly without going into details. Xia Ling snorted softly, "What's your advice?" Xia Ling's expression first frowned, then he thought, and then showed an expression of sudden realization. Other experts were also dumbfounded. "This is nonsense." Xia Ling closed the computer with a snap and prepared to get up and leave. "Professor Xie, please wait a moment." Yunsu stopped him. Xia Ling was also a visiting professor at the university, so there was nothing wrong with calling him that way. "What? Please tell me in detail." Xia Ling's face changed instantly and he sat back on the chair. Xia Ling paused and turned around. "Do you know me?" "As you can see, this is the initiator of this project, Yunsu, who is also an assistant researcher at the First Research Institute." "No, what's going on?" After a while, Furuoshin came back to his senses and asked with a trembling voice. It couldn't be what he thought, could it? Zhang Qiao was stunned. "What is going on?" 3 sentences made the big guys start taking notes for me. He and He Renping looked at each other and saw the fright in each other's eyes. He Renping shook his head and sighed in his heart. He still underestimated Yunsu. He thought she was just an extremely talented student, but she had already reached a very high level. Less than a month ago, she was a student who came to help on a temporary basis, and now, he is actually sitting at the project site she is leading. Life is really like a drama. Yang Xiao, who was standing straight at the side, also had a slight change on his face. He could have sworn that before stepping into the door of the conference room, Yunsu had no idea who was attending the meeting today, but she recognized them at that moment. I met people, told them about their papers, and gave my own suggestions. You really don't fight an unprepared battle. Then what? Xia Ling asked impatiently as he saw Yunsu pause. Professor Xia, we can talk about aerogels in private. Why don't we talk about this project now? Everyone has been waiting for a long time. Sorry, I was too anxious. Xia Ling realized that he was indeed taking the spotlight. Other experts, it's not impossible to continue talking, we are also listening. After this episode, everyone put aside their overt or covert contempt for Yunsu. The fact that she was able to express those insights showed that she was at least someone who really had something to offer, so we might as well take a look at what she had to say. Anyway, the projects mentioned are coming. Yang Xiao nodded to Yunsu and left the meeting room in time. Then let's get back to business and talk about the situation of this project. Speaking of which, I am very honored and surprised that so many aviation experts are here, because after all, I have only proposed this project to the superiors before, and have not yet detailed explanation was given. Everyone looked at each other in confusion, but only mentioned it. The superiors brought us here. Is this a sign of trust in her, or do you think they are too busy? They'd rather be the former. About this project, everyone must know that it is about a new type of aeronautical material. I first came up with the idea when I was helping to research a material in researcher He Renping's group. In an instant, everyone's eyes turned. Focus on He Renping. Old He, you are unreasonable. You didn't even tell us about such a big thing, Fu Ruoshan said, not far from He Renping. He Renping smiled bitterly. Can I say that I just found out about it too? If he had known better, his jaw wouldn't have dropped to the ground. When she came to my team before, she just came to the training camp to help out, which lasted less than half a month. Have you got an idea for a new material in half a month? What training session? Fu Ruoshan asked casually. That's it? He Renping glanced at Yunsu and felt like he was telling a fantasy story. IMO training. IMO, Fu Ruoshan spat out. You mean the high school mathematics competition IMO? Isn't it really some other international competition? He Renping nodded with a wooden face. That thing means that this little girl is still a high school student? A person like Fu Ruoshan, who has always been good-tempered, wanted to curse. He confirmed again in disbelief, are you really a high school student? Yunsu nodded, graduate 1. First year of high school? Fu Ruoshan and a group of experts almost passed away. At this time, Xia Ling persuaded them in turn, and his attitude changed drastically. What's wrong with the high school students? We are not just based on academic qualifications. Fu Ruoshan looked at him with a puzzled expression. Wasn't that your attitude just now? Yunsu looked at her watch. It was already getting late. She had to rush home for dinner. After the people with different expressions were calm, she continued, the new materials I am talking about are also related to gas. Inspired by the gel, the cabins of current spacecraft are mainly made of high-strength aluminum alloys and titanium alloys. As Yunsu narrated, everyone who was originally leaning on the chairs gradually sat upright, their expressions became extremely serious, and they kept writing and began to record. Fu Ruoshan and Li Zixie's eyes became brighter and brighter, and they completely believed in the fact that Yunsu was the leader of the project. He Renping was frightened. What this girl showed before was just the tip of the iceberg compared to what she showed now. No wonder the leader's meaningful look when she reported to the superiors. It turned out that Yunsu had already been mentioned in the above. This is the general situation. The specific details will be analyzed and solved during the experiment. If you have any questions, you can also ask them. Yunsu finished his concluding remarks. After a moment, thunderous applause erupted in the conference room, and he was convinced, without any doubts. Zhang Qiao listened to most of the book and clapped mechanically. He seemed to understand why he was brought to this project. He was brought up by the big boss. I have to say that he told the truth. After considering the above, in addition to his good abilities in all aspects, he also knew Yunsu before and admired Yunsu. Compared with other experts and scholars, there may be better communication between them. Then if there are no other questions, I will come here today. I will give you the detailed project plan as soon as possible. I also hope that everyone can brainstorm ideas. Thank you again for coming. Okay, Yun Gong. Everyone consciously changed their names and no longer treated her as a child. I'll see you off, Yang Xiao said hurriedly when he saw Yunsu coming out. Trouble. When I got home, Yunting rushed over to me instantly. Sister, you're back. Yun Daijin was still surprised. Didn't you fly to the airport at 2:30? I was in a hurry just now, so I didn't tell Yun Daijin in detail. I went to the research institute. Yun Daijin was stunned for a moment, and he was a little dissatisfied. Why are you busy again when you come back? You are still a child. This is not how you work, right? Dad, what are you talking about? I'm going to a meeting. I have a new project to identify people and meet my colleagues. Well, Dad doesn't understand anyway, and Dad can't help you with anything. You just have to know what's going on. Who says you can't help me? I can't even cook the food you cook. Aren't you helping me? Help me take care of myself so well. Yun Daijin suddenly smiled again. That's right, come and eat. At the dinner table, Yunsu told Yun Daijin some interesting things about recording programs on the island. Hearing that the program team asked them to find ingredients by themselves, Yun Daijin said proudly, "Look, I asked you to bring that chicken, right? You don't want to take it yet?" Yes, yes, you know things like a god. When will your show be broadcast? I'll let everyone watch it. Then the people Yun Daijin refers to are the old customers in his store. Because of Yun Daijin's bragging, they can almost all admire Yunsu's glory. His deeds are as numerous as his treasures. Thinking of the scene where she stabbed a snake in the show, Yunsu felt a little stuck, and said vaguely, "Just these 2 weeks, I'm not sure yet." Then you must remember to tell me in advance, otherwise what will happen if you miss it? Yunting shouted, "I want to see it too. I want to see it too." Yunsu feigned anger and glared at him. "Hurry up and eat your food. What are you looking at?" End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After Rebirth, Boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 146. Chapter 146. Something is fishy. By the way, Dad, how's things going at your new store? Yun Daijin has been running in 2 directions recently, teaching Qing's mother and daughter, and supervising the affairs of the new store. He is as busy as a spinning top. Yunsu is busier than her father and has not yet visited the new store. It's almost done. Your aunt and the others are learning very quickly. Soon I will be able to leave the store to them with confidence and only need to visit occasionally. Yun Daijin frowned. There is something wrong with the new store. Yunsu stopped his chopsticks and asked, "What's wrong?" "The catering business license has not yet been obtained. I have submitted several applications to the industrial and commercial department, but they have not been approved. Even if the store is renovated, it will not be able to open if the certificates are not complete." Looking at Yun Daijin's worried look, Yunsu thought for a moment. "Dad, I'll go over with you after school at noon tomorrow." "Okay, you know more than me. Let's see where the problem is." "Susu, I watched the live broadcast over the weekend, and the way you speared fish and snakes was so cool." Yao Shuij looked at her with starry eyes. "Then, is that Qin Shuer also an insignificant person? How come she is so good to you and speaks for you?" Yao Shuij said a little sourly. Qing Lian looked serious and took a pen and paper to take notes. Qing Lian said happily, "Susu is here. I haven't seen you for a long time. You have lost weight. Good. Yes, but our two families don't have close contact. No wonder. No, she is my great-uncle's granddaughter. Then he started to get angry again, that Suzy way is too much. Fortunately, I used to like her dramas, but I will never watch them again, but now she has also fallen behind, ha 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 ha. He looked at Yunsu, who had already turned his head to Qingyu to speak. It's about like this after 10 minutes, turn down the heat and simmer for another 20 minutes or so. Once it's soft and tender, it's almost done. Yun Daijin was instructing Qing Lian in the store. What, are you also chasing stars? You didn't see it? Yao Shuij teased. Lian Yu was speechless. I'll give you $1 coin. You can go to the canteen at the school gate to shake the car and come back after, you understand? That's my cousin. What kind of cousin? Qin Cheng's eyes deepened. Although he was not familiar with her, he still knew Qin Shuer. She had a high self-esteem. How could he try to please Yunsu for no reason? Could it be that his uncle said something? Yun Daijin turned his head. Ignorant person, why are you angry? Yunsu said with a smile. Qin Shuer, Qin Cheng on the side raised his head. Yao Shuij glared at him fiercely. I want you to tell me. Qing, let's go together after school. I'll go to the store too. Wait a minute, let me put it into perspective. That means Qin Shuer is your cousin, right? Yao Shuij was a little confused. Yunsu didn't think about this problem either. Qin Shuer was indeed very familiar with her. Pretend to please, but later it suddenly becomes real. Dad, we are here. Where have you lost weight? Aren't you still the same as before? Aunt Qing, you are looking better and better, Yunsu said with a smile. She had inadvertently checked Qing Lian's pulse before. Her illnesses were easy to cure, but the most important ones were heart illnesses. Once a person removes the burden from his heart, his mental outlook will be much better. Yun Daijin took off his apron and said to Qing Lian, we'll go over first. Good. The father and daughter came to the new store on Libei Street. The store is about the same size as the old Yash store, but it has a good location and a large flow of people. There is no other braised food store like this on this street. Yunsu walked in and took a look. The walls and floors were finished, and several decoration workers were installing cabinets. Dad, the industrial and commercial department has never approved it. There must be a reason. I just don't know the reason. Every time I go, I say I'm busy lately and there's too much backlog of approvals, so I have to do it one by one. Yunsu frowned. It was not the Chinese New Year, so how could he be so busy? Besides, this is just a matter of signing and sealing. How much time can be wasted? Dad, how about I go and ask again with you? Yun Daijin thought about it and realized that he was indeed in a hurry. That's okay. We'll go after dinner. Don't delay your afternoon class. The two of them were preparing to take a bite at the Duhua shop nearby. Yunsu loves spicy food, so Yun Daijin added some spicy oil to his daughter's tofu pudding. If I had known earlier, I would have ate it over there before coming here, and I would have forgotten all my worries. It's okay, it tastes good here too. No, the bean curd in our store is a 10 or 20-year-old craft. The boss sitting next to him said, Brother Yun, is this your daughter? Yes, my daughter, be pretty, follow me. Yun Daijin nodded cheerfully. He came here to supervise the work, often ate here, and was already familiar with the owner of the Duhua shop. Beautiful, it's up to you. Brother Yun, is your store opening soon? It's almost done. The cabinets are almost installed. Yun Daijin was a little worried again. Even the catering business license hasn't been applied for yet. It's almost 1 month. Why didn't you get it done? Is there any problem? I'm just worried because I can't find the problem. The business department said I'm too busy recently. Too busy? The boss asked strangely. No, right? My business license expired last week, so I went to get a new one, and it was approved in a few days. It was very fast. Then what happened to us? Yoon Daejin was stunned. Yoon-soo felt that things might not be that simple. Dad, let's eat first. We'll ask after we finish. Yes, let's ask again. Maybe there is something wrong, the boss said with relief. In the office hall of the Industrial and Commercial Bureau, the father and daughter took their numbers and waited in line. Sister Wang, that person is here again at the window, a woman in uniform nuzzled at the woman next to her. Wang Xinmi looked at Yoon Daejin sitting over there and frowned irritably. Are you annoyed? There have been 800 requests, but they have all been discussed and have not yet been approved. The woman looked around and whispered, Sister Wang, who did that man offend? He's been stuck for so long. Wang Xinmi gave her a warning look. What can't be offended? Don't ask if you shouldn't. The woman kept silent and curled her lips without revealing any trace. What are you dragging? Isn't it just that he is older? This kind of benefit is never their turn. Soon it was Yoon Daejin's turn, and Yoon-soo accompanied him to sit down at the window. Comrade, I am the one who wants to open a shop on Libay Street. I just want to ask, when can I get the catering license for my shop? Didn't I tell you everything? Just wait with peace of mind, there's still a queue in front of you. But the owner of the store next to me came to renew the new certificate last week, and it was approved in a few days. In this way, if there is anything wrong, you tell me and I will go back and rectify it. I told you to wait, Wang Xinmi said impatiently. You told me that he was renewing the certificate and you were applying for one. How can it be the same? The procedures are different. No, procrastinating like this is not an option. My store is about to open and I haven't gotten the certificate yet, so that's not going to work. Yoon Daejin was anxious. Then there's nothing I can do about it if you're anxious. This is a prescribed procedure. If everyone is like you, then what's the point of our industry and commerce's existence? Wang Xinmi was eloquent, but how could Yoon Daejin speak better than such a grassroots veteran, who was at a loss for words? Yoon-soo stood aside and said nothing. Looking at Wang Xinmi's impatient face and sneering, the meaning of the existence of government departments was revealed. What a big hat to slap off. Are you really too busy and the approval hasn't come through yet? Yoon-soo asked. Wang Xinmi glanced at Yoon-soo. What else could it be? It couldn't be that I didn't do it for you on purpose, right? It's really funny. Okay, what you said. Yoon-soo turned to look at the people waiting in the hall, walked up to a man and asked, Hello, uncle, what business are you here to do? The man was confused, seeing that it was a beautiful little girl and was unprepared, so he still answered her, I'll get the certificate. Uncle, does he own a store? Can I ask what store it is? Maybe we can go and have a look later. The man immediately replied, It's a noodle shop just over there on Weo Street. What a coincidence, Uncle. Yoon-soo pretended to be surprised. Our family also owns a restaurant, but our catering license has not been issued for a month now. My father is very worried. It's been a month, it's been so long. I applied for it 10 days ago and they all informed me to come and get the certificate. After getting a satisfactory answer, Yoon-soo turned his head and looked at Wang Xinmi. Did you hear everything? What else are you trying to do for us now to apply for a certificate? Isn't it a replacement certificate? Wang Xinmi's face turned red and white, looking extremely ugly. She never expected that this little girl would directly trick others here. Anyway, what I'm showing here is that the approval has not come through. If you don't believe me, there's nothing I can do about it. Wang Xinmi just broke the jar and refused to admit it. Even if they thought it was strange, there was nothing they could do. Well, I won't embarrass you. Then I ask you to ask someone who can give me an answer. Otherwise. Yoon-soo Yang said on her cell phone, I have no choice but to report it to the higher UPS. Looking for a screening above? Who are you trying to scare? Wang Xinmi was about to sneer. By the way, I forgot to tell you, I just recorded the entire process. You. Wang Xinmi was a little flustered. This little girl was actually doing this. With this recording, It really doesn't look good. You guys wait here, I'll go ask. After thinking about it, Wang Xinmi had to hold her breath. Okay, I'll wait, please hurry up. Yunsu smiled brightly. Wang Xinmi left the window and walked upstairs. The woman working at the window next to her couldn't help but smile. Wang Xinmi, who usually looked arrogant because there was someone behind her, was sometimes bullied. Yun Daijin said happily, "Susu, you are too smart. She can't do anything in just a few words." "Dad, just wait, the fun is yet to come." "What do you mean?" Yun Daijin didn't understand. Yunsu chuckled lightly, someone was planning the game, how could he only do half of it? End of this chapter. After Rebirth, Boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 147. Chapter 147 Writing Appraisal. Not long after, a middle-aged man wearing glasses walked down, followed by Wang Xinmi. The man smiled kindly and said to Yun Daijin, "You are Yun Daijin, right?" "Yes, I am. I am Du Qi, the section chief in charge of food at the Industrial and Commercial Bureau." Yun Daijin rarely saw these officials within the system, so he quickly shook hands with him. The disgust in Du Qi's eyes flashed, and it was all seen by Yunsu. She held her hands and waited for Du Qi's performance. He took out a list, showed it to the father and daughter, and said apologetically, "This list is from the Environmental Testing Department. When they inspected your store, they found that formaldehyde exceeded the standard, so the approval of the catering license has been delayed. I'm really sorry that I didn't come down. I've been too busy recently and I forgot to record it in the system after I reported it." "Formaldehyde exceeds the standard?" "Impossible." Yun Daijin was anxious, "Everything was fine when I came here for inspection last time, and I didn't say anything about it. Besides, the paint used in my shop is all good, so it's impossible for formaldehyde to exceed the standard, right?" "Got it wrong." Du Qi smiled and said, "You have also seen this list. The results of the test are indeed this. You can go back and see if you bought any inferior paint. This aspect must be done well before the license can be approved." "Possibility of coming down?" "No, Susu, take a look." Du Qi's eyes darkened, "I don't understand what you are talking about." "It's up to you to make any appraisal." He didn't believe that this kind of appraisal could be done casually by ordinary people and in ordinary places. "Time appraisal," Long Changzheng hesitated, "the appraisal department can do it, but it can't be done casually. An application must be submitted." "This," Yun Daijin was dumbfounded. Ba bang bang, Yunsu smiled and clapped, "Chief Du is really good at adapting to changes." Yunsu held the order in her hand, glanced at it, and looked up at Du Qi. "You said this was an order that was opened before. It seems that you won't shed tears even if you don't see the coffin." Yunsu took out her mobile phone and dialed a number. Soon, the call was connected. "Hello, Miss Yun, what's the matter?" Long Changzheng, who was drinking tea happily in the office and humming a tune, sat upright in an instant and cheered up. Why would this great call him? Du Qi's face darkened. "What do you mean? This little girl is really hard to fool at such a young age." "Director Long?" "What Director Long?" Du Qi and Wang Xinmi frowned and thought about who this person was. This surname is quite special. It seems that there is no one named Long in the leadership team of the industrial and commercial side, right? Yunsu said word by word, based on the colored pigments that make up the text and certain rules, the time when the handwriting or printed documents were produced can be inferred. "Chief Du, do you want me to do an appraisal?" Du Qi's brows twitched, as if something was out of his control. He spoke cautiously, "I would like to hear the details." "Chief Du, do you know what writing time identification is?" Wang Xinmi's eyes flashed with panic, and she quickly lowered her head. "Director Long, I have a little favor to ask you for." "Director Long, How are you doing lately? Yoon Daejin took the order and brought it to Yoon Soo. Only then did Do Chi look at Yoon Soo. He still had a smile on his face and was not afraid of the two checking it. Yes, Do Chi nodded. Yoon Soo said his request, Director Long, can the Bureau help me with the time identification of the printed documents? Yoon Soo stamped the fresh seal on the list with her fingertips. A light red mark instantly appeared on her fingertips. She raised her hand to show it to Do Chi and laughed, this was also stamped a few days ago. Please tell me, I will try my best to help you wherever I can. Do Chi's face changed slightly, but he quickly calmed down. Oh, the order was handed in a few days ago. When Xiao Wang came up to ask, I just remembered it and stamped it. This was our negligence. I'm sorry. Yoon Soo had already expected this, then I will call the police and submit the application legitimately. Call the police, Long Changzheng said in surprise, with many possibilities appearing in his mind. Why did you call the police? Du Chi's eyes were scary. Do you think you can scare me? He looked at the crowd around him who had started whispering, and his face turned completely cold. You don't listen to your good words, right? Then I have to call the security guard. Yoon Daejin didn't expect that things would happen like this, and he was a little panicked. Susu, why don't we leave first and deal with it later, so as not to make the matter a big deal? It's okay, Dad. Yoon Soo comforted him. No need to call security, I'll call the police for you. Yoon Soo was calm and not afraid at all. She continued to say to Long Changzheng, Director Long, I called the police to report that Section Chief Du Kiju of the Administration for Industry and Commerce accepted bribes and maliciously suppressed the approval of the self-employed business license. Ignoring Du Chi's pale face, Yoon Soo moved his eyes to Wang Xinmei behind him and looked at her nameplate. Oh, by the way, there is also a window staff, Wang Xinmei. She did not forget that there was this person. Section Chief. Wang Xinmei became visibly panicked. Security. Get these two troublemakers away. Du Chi didn't want to say any more, his face was terrifyingly gloomy. No, we'll go by ourselves and wait for you at the door. After hearing Long Changzhen's reply, Yoon Soo hung up the phone with satisfaction. Dad, let's go. The father and daughter walked out of the office hall and found a seat to sit down leisurely. Looking at the two people leaving, Du Chi sneered, they're just paper tigers. He rolled up his sleeves and went upstairs. Wang Xinmei looked around, forced herself to walk back to the window and continued to call the next number. Du Chi was a little uneasy when he returned to the office. He thought for a moment and took out his mobile phone to make a call. Miss Yoon, Mr. Yoon. Long Changzheng was very fast, and he came over in person in less than 20 minutes. Excuse me, Director Long. Yoon Soo nodded gratefully. Susu, I've seen this before. Yoon Daejin realized. Isn't this the former director of the Public Security Bureau? God, his daughter called the director over with just one phone call? Yoon Daejin swallowed, suppressed the shock in his heart, and quickly thanked you. It's really troublesome for you. Don't say that, just serve the people. Long Changzheng chuckled. How dare he neglect this ancestor's affairs? Long Changzheng looked at the door of the Industrial and Commercial Bureau. Miss Yoon, are the two people you mentioned inside now? Right. Okay, let's go. Chief Du, it's not good. It's not good. The security guard at the door ran upstairs out of breath. What's the matter? Are you in such a hurry? Du Chi said, dissatisfied, feeling vaguely uneasy. The police are coming, they are really coming. What? Du Chi stood up suddenly. It's downstairs. I'm asking Sister Wang. I'll go upstairs soon. She actually called the police. No, why did the police come out so quickly? What important thing did he miss? Du Chi calmed himself down. So what if he called the police? She was talking nonsense, so he could still accuse her of slandering him. He straightened his expression and walked downstairs as if nothing had happened. Are you Du Chi? Long Chanzheng stepped forward and asked. Yes, Du Qi frowned. Why does this policeman look familiar? I am Long Chanzheng, Deputy Director of the Municipal Public Security Bureau and Director of the Nanwei Street Public Security Bureau. This is my police officer ID. We received a call saying that you accepted bribes and abused your power for personal gain. Please come with us and cooperate with the investigation. Municipal Public Security Bureau, how could it be? Director Long? Long Chanzheng? Du Qi seemed to have lost his soul. No wonder he felt familiar. Why does he pay so much attention to it? He went to the police in person, and the number the little girl dialed was not the police number, but Director Long's private number. Could it be that he had really offended someone he shouldn't have? Wang Xinmei on the side was already crying in panic. If she had known better, she would not have intervened in this matter. Let's go. Long Chanzheng still had a business-like attitude. Okay, don't panic. Calm. Public Security Bureau, in the inquiry room. Is this the physical evidence that needs to be appraised? Long Chang was looking at the evidence bag, which contained the list that Du Qi had used to deal with Yunsu and the others. Yes, I need to know the specific printing time of this list. Yunsu explained what happened in a clear and coherent manner, and played the recording of the entire process in the office hall. Long Chanzheng frowned. A simple business license has been delayed. The answer he gave changed again and again. First, he said that it was not approved because of the backlog due to busy work. Later, he changed his mind and said that the environmental testing did not meet the standards. The certificate issued also seems to be fake, which is indeed very suspicious. Do you have anything to say? Long Chanzheng asked Du Qi. Du Qi has completely calmed down. Even if it is identified with just one list, it is useless. He can also say that the previous list was lost and he reprinted it. He only said that because he was afraid of being blamed by them. I have said all I can say. The business license of their store was indeed not approved because the environmental testing did not meet the standards at the time. In addition, I will reserve the right to pursue responsibility for her slander about me accepting bribes. Long Chanzheng has been a veteran policeman for decades, so he can naturally tell that Du Qi is hiding something. Moreover, he has no contact with Yunsu and his daughter, and has no motive to do this. There must be someone behind the scenes who instigated him. What Yunsu said about accepting bribes is probably true. Looks like you are confident. Long Chanzheng paused the inquiry and walked out of the interrogation room. Xiaogu, go check the mobile phone records and bank statements of Du Qi and Wang Xinmei to see if there is anything suspicious. Yes. Du Qi is an old fox with a tough mouth, the type who won't shed tears until he sees the coffin, so our breakthrough point should be Wang Xinmei's side, Long Chanzheng said to Yunsu. Yunsu nodded. Wang Xinmei's reaction had already revealed a lot. Her mental quality was not high, and she should be able to defeat her defenses quickly. Let's go and meet her. Dad, wait for me here. Yun Daijin can only nod and say okay now. He just wanted to get a permit, so why did he come to the police station? Wang Xinmei and Du Qi were not in the same interrogation room. She was pacing anxiously in the room. As soon as Long Chanzheng and Yunsu entered the door, she immediately sat down in a panic. Tell me about the whole process of how Du Qi asked you to maliciously suppress Yun Daijin's business license. Long Chanzheng spoke in a serious tone and got straight to the point. I don't know what you are talking about. I always follow formal procedures. Wang Xinmei still insisted on her statement. Oh? But that's not what Du Qi said. He said that you charged him 50,000 yuan but didn't get the job done. Which of you should I believe? He's talking nonsense. Wang Xinmei, who was already under high pressure, suddenly felt her heart break. Obviously there are only 20,000. End of this chapter. After Rebirth, boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 148. Chapter 148 Yun Group. Yunsu and Long Changzhen looked at each other and it was done. 20,000, right? No, I mean. Wang Xinmi I knew she had made a mistake and hurriedly explained. It's nothing. Long Changzhen's eyes were bright. Wang Xinmi I was speechless. There was no way she could make it back to her words. If you tell the truth now, we can deal with it leniently, otherwise, Du Qi will put all the responsibility on your side. If you don't tell, then. Long Changzhen did not finish what he said, but everyone understood what he meant. Now Du Qi and Wang Xinmi are like grasshoppers on a rope. Whoever explains clearly first will have less responsibility. Sure enough, Wang Xinmi became anxious when she heard this. She leaned forward and said, "No, I don't know anything. It's all Du he asked me to do." The police officer taking the note immediately cheered up. Long Changzhen was persuasive. "You said it was Du Qi who asked you to do it? How did he ask you to do it? Tell me in detail." Wang Xinmi hesitated, and then said after organizing her words, "I am just a small employee at the grassroots level. Du Qi asked me to do this. He asked me to suppress the approval of Yun General's business license and not to submit it. I really don't know anything else. How much did he give you? Xiaogu, bring me the computer." When was this list printed? The two of them left the interrogation room again. Gu Pingsheng stepped forward and said, "Long Bureau, the Economic Investigation Section found that there was only a suspicious payment of 20,000 yuan in the bank card under Wang Xinmi's name recently, and no other ones were found." Right. Long Changzhen knew that Du Qi's breakthrough was here. He pondered for a moment and said to Yun Su, "Miss Yun, I remember the last time you used the computer at the police station." He was deeply impressed by Yun Su. Since he remembered Yun Su's feat at the police station last time, he just used the encrypted computer of the police station to enter his own intranet, found the surveillance, and successfully obtained the evidence. Gu Pingsheng responded immediately, "Yes, Director. Just about a month ago." "Where's Du Qi?" "Okay, we understand, please sit down for a while." Wang Xinmi hesitated, just now, not long ago, when I went to find him. Du Qi said that there were no problems with the card in his own name. The Economic Investigation Section also checked the financial situation of his relatives and found that his son Du Kailin had several suspicious incomes, but none of them were found. Check it out, because the accounts are all encrypted, even at the bank, they can't check it without the permission of the household head. You see. Long Changzhen nodded, which was consistent with Wang Xinmi's statement. It seemed that she was not lying. "When did you say it?" "His son. It's only 20,000, I really didn't lie, really," Wang Xinmi explained hurriedly. Du Qi's eyes lit up, and he thought, "Okay, there is no need to do the appraisal now." Long Changzhen's words were unclear and before he finished, Yun Su understood what he meant and nodded, "I'll give it a try. Still working hard, but it won't work for a while. There is no way to decrypt the account in the technical department." "Ms Yun, computer." Gu Pingsheng brought the computer, and a group of people from the technical department silently gathered around him. They all only asked about Yun Su but did not listen to him. After finally seeing him, how could he not seize the opportunity? "Give me the account number." "Here." Long Changzhen stepped aside. Although this was necessary to solve the case, the hacking method was not very good after all. Yun Su turned on the computer, fluttered her fingers, and typed out lines of code. Interfaces appeared one after another. The people in the technical department around her did not dare to express their anger for fear of disturbing her. They stared at her operations with good eyes, and occasionally exclaimed in their hearts. "Okay," Yun Su pressed the last key, and all the account information of Du Qi's son Du Kailin was displayed. The eyes of several people in the technical department were wide-eyed. It was so easy to solve the problem. They didn't get it out after a long time. Is it because she is too good or they are too bad? After all, they are just bringing in talents. It's so embarrassing. Long Changzheng immediately came over and looked at each one with his sharp eyes. He pointed at the screen. Can you find out who transferred the sum of 150,000 yuan and that sum of 50,000 yuan? OK, Yunsu typed a few keys at random. The head of the household is Zhonglin Hai, and he transferred both funds. Xiaogu, go check it out right away. Yes. Once you know the name, it will be easier to look it up, and you will get the result quickly. Long Bureau, Zhonglin Hai, is 35 years old, from Lanqing, married, has a son and a daughter, lives in Jingxiu community, works for Yunqi Group, is usually kind-hearted, and has a harmonious family relationship. Wait, Yun Group. Right. Long Changzheng glanced at Yunsu with a darkened face. Yun Group? Isn't it the Yun family? Isn't that just? He also knew a little bit about what happened between Yunsu and the Yun family, and he sighed in his heart. The Yun family was probably crazy. They ignored such a daughter and rushed to offend her and push her further and further away. If he had such a daughter, one would love to hold her in her mouth and hold her in her hands to care for her. Yun Daijin was just honest, but he was not stupid. As soon as the name of the Yun Group came out, he reacted and became angry. What does the Yun Group mean? What does the Yun family mean? We are all with them. It's no longer relevant. Why do you do this to us? As the saying goes, it is difficult for an upright official to deal with household matters. Although this is not considered a household matter, Long Changzheng still did not open his mouth. Yunsu had a frosty face. She didn't want to pay attention to them and treated them as strangers, but they insisted on touching her bottom line again and again. If so, let's break up. Dad, don't be angry, I'll handle it. Yun Daijin suppressed his anger and said, okay. He believed Susu. Director Long, let's go meet Du Qi again. Okay. With the evidence in hand, he didn't believe it and couldn't pry his mouth open. Long Changzheng, have you thought about it? What are you thinking about? I said, we all act according to the rules. No matter how you ask me, I will always give you this answer. Du Qi looked lazy and careless. If you don't tell me, Wang Xinmi, I will explain everything. What are you talking about? I don't understand. Du Qi was sure that they were deceiving him. Long Changzheng chuckled, his eyes filled with pressure. The salary of a grassroots worker is only a few thousand yuan a month, and you can earn 20,000 yuan just by using your hands and words. It's really easy. Du Qi's eyes changed slightly. His left leg was crossed over his right leg. In psychology, this is a typical concealment action. The 20,000 quick bucks that Long Changzheng mentioned made him a little panicked. This number? That woman Wang Xinmi, I couldn't really hold on. Has she already said that? Why, don't you want to say something? Long Changzheng looked at him, and Du Qi subconsciously avoided his eyes. Then let's talk about your family. You only have one son, right? Yes. What does my son have to do with this matter? Your son himself has nothing to do with this matter. Long Changzheng changed the topic. Your son is studying in country M, right? The tuition at a state university in country M is not cheap, right? As a civil servant, even if you are a section chief, you will pay a monthly salary. Of his salary is only a few thousand yuan. How can he support the high expenses of studying abroad? I still have some savings over the years. As the saying goes, no matter how poor you are, you can't afford education. Director Long, you should also be a father. You should know that this is all for the sake of the children. Du Qi quickly reacted and explained with an embarrassed sigh. As if he is really an old father who works tirelessly for his children. Savings. According to our investigation, your wife is a hospital nurse. You two can almost be said to be working class people. Your mother got sick and had an operation a year ago. which cost hundreds of thousands. Do you still have savings? Furthermore, your son Du Kailan's consumption in country M is not low. This is his consumption bill. Take a look at it for yourself. Explain where the money comes from. Long Chang was handing Du the consumption list of his other sons. Du Chi's breathing became rapid. He finally understood that the police had investigated him thoroughly with lightning speed. With the facts before his eyes, he could not justify himself at all. Yunsu didn't speak. Long Chang just looked at the hesitant and entangled Du Chi in his spare time, waiting for his ideological struggle to end. 10 minutes later, Du Chi's psychological defense finally collapsed. He lowered his head and said dejectedly, Yun Dajan's business license was indeed withheld on purpose. Long Chang Zheng sat upright and continued to ask, Oh? You don't know Yun Dajan, right? Why do you do this? Yes. Du Chi hesitated again and again, but said truthfully, someone asked me to do this. Who is it? It's a man named Zhonglin Hai. Yunsu and Long Changzheng exchanged glances, and it was him. Long Changzheng still asked calmly, who is he? Why did he instruct you to do that? He works in Yunchi Group and is the assistant to Yuntu, the chairman of Yunchi Group. According to him, he was instructed by Yuntu. What benefits did they give you? Transferred 2 amounts of money to me. Long Changzheng produced the second piece of evidence. Is it these 2 sums of money? One is 150,000, the other is 50,000, totaling 200,000. Yes, unexpectedly, they found out even this. Du Chi, who was still lucky at first, completely admitted it. Do you know why you were asked to do that? Long Changzheng asked about the motive. I really don't know this, they definitely won't tell me. Long Changzheng nodded, he believed it. Did you give Wang Xinmei the 20,000 yuan? Yes, she is a staff member at the window, and she is the one who has direct contact with Yun Dajan. Okay, I guess we all understand it. If there is anything else, please tell us. Okay. Long Changzheng took the transcript from the police officer's hand and said, sign it and put your thumbprint on it. Du Chi finished signing the document in a formal manner and stamped his fingerprint. Miss Yun, we will hand over this case to the Economic Investigation and Discipline Inspection Commission. These phenomena of accepting bribes at the grassroots level will definitely be strictly investigated. The Yun Group's Yuntu side. Long Changzheng was concerned about Yunsu and Yuntu relationship, hesitated for a moment. Just do whatever you have to do. If you have any questions, please contact me immediately. Okay, definitely. Yun Dajan was waiting anxiously at the door of the police station when Yunsu came out. Dad, let's go back. Has everything been resolved? Is it really the Yun family that did it? Yunsu paused and said, well, Dad, don't worry about it. I know how to deal with it. The license will be issued soon. You should just concentrate on the store. As long as Yun Yan exists, her father will always be caught in the middle. She doesn't want to embarrass her father. Okay, Yun Dajan knew that Yunsu was sensible. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After Rebirth, Boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 149. Chapter 149, Face-to-Face Questioning. I'm sorry, miss, you can't go in. A woman in a well-dressed suit chased the person in front of her on high heels. What's going on? What's the noise like? The man in a suit scolded. Secretary Zhang, this lady has no appointment and must see the chairman, the woman explained hurriedly. Yunsu stopped and turned around, looking at the man. Are you Zhonglin Hai? You are. Zhonglin Hai frowned when his name was called. He looked at the naked girl, and suddenly his eyes widened. You are Yoon. Yoon-soo's eyes were quite meaningful, and he waved around him, I want to see Yoon too. This. Jong Lin-hai was not sure of her purpose. After thinking for a moment, he agreed, wait a moment, I will report it to the chairman right away. Jong Lin-hai walked into Yoon-too's office. Didn't I say not to disturb me? Yoon-too frowned and said dissatisfiedly. He was thinking about a recent plan. Mr. Yoon, Miss Yoon is here. Okay, Mr. Yoon. Mr. Yoon, I remember I said that it's best for us to remain strangers. If you don't offend me, I won't offend you. Why do you have to do something that crosses the line? Yoon-soo sighed, she meant it? Annoyed by these nonsense. Bribing government workers is something he would definitely not admit was his own instruction. Yoon-too's expression changed. He had indeed told Jong Lin-hai to find some trouble with the Yoon family. He had been so busy recently that he had forgotten about it. I don't understand what you mean. As soon as Yoon-soo spoke, Yoon-too's face turned cold. Mr. Yoon? Don't you even know how to call dad? Yoon-too didn't know what he thought of, and smiled, let her come in. Xiao Yan? What is she doing here? Yoon-too didn't react for a moment. Jong Lin-hai was a little embarrassed, no, it's, another Miss Yoon. Since you don't recognize me as your father, what are you doing here? I thought that Yoon-soo came to him to admit his mistake, but it seems that he was wrong. Mr. Yoon's life seems to be pretty good. It seems that Mr. Yoon is really a noble person and forgets things. Let me tell you straight. Secretary Jong asked the Industrial and Commercial Bureau to recognize my dad's business license. Is it you who did this? It's a question, but it's a statement. The other one, Yoon-too's expression changed, why is she here? Yoon-soo laughed. It's already this time. Do you still have to worry about these things? Mr. Yoon, please don't say such nonsense, I only have one father. Yoon-too sat on the boss's chair, looking like a successful man. Yoon-soo sat on the chair directly opposite him, and the two looked at each other. Yoon-too's face turned livid, what exactly do you want to say? Frankly speaking, I don't have that much time to talk nonsense with you. Forget it if you don't understand. The police will come to your door soon for such a thing. Mr. Yoon is willing to give 200,000 yuan. It's really grand. You won't forget what you told Secretary Jong to do, right? I don't know, people are outside. This was Yoon-soo's first time to come to Yoon's group. As soon as she entered the door, she glanced at the leather sofa seats, exquisite bonsai and rockery. Everything was arranged with feng shui knowledge. What do you mean? Bribery, 200,000, oh, more than 10 years. You are very courageous. Yoon-soo almost wanted to applaud him. 200,000? How could the police find out so quickly? He always used encrypted accounts to make people do things. How could the police find out so quickly? Yoon-too suddenly thought of the close attitude of the Lian family towards Yoon-soo. Could it be that they helped her? Isn't she just a classmate with the child from the Lian family? Would the Lian family help her like that? If this was true, it would be troublesome. Yoon-too was a little annoyed that he had forgotten that she still had this relationship. Are you done? You can leave now. Yoon-too's face was cold, and his eyes when looking at Yoon-soo were full of caution and vigilance. He thought that no matter how smart she was just a child, but after all, he underestimated her. Why don't you go check it out? I really suspect that you got the wrong result. Yoon Yan-kei is your biological daughter. Her methods are exactly the same as yours. She only does these despicable methods behind your back. Yoon-soo applauded vigorously. She asked someone to put rat droppings in the food in my dad's shop, and you ask someone to jam my dad's ID card. They are really father and daughter. They have a tacit understanding and love. Putting rat droppings. How could such a gentle and ladylike child as Xiao Yan do such a thing? He retorted instantly. What are you talking about, Xiao Yan? She is also a victim in the matter between the two of you. You don't need to be so jealous of her or slander her. Jealous? Slander? Yunsu was almost amused by him. Is there anything about her that I should be jealous of or slander? Seeing the girl's vaguely arrogant and contemptuous eyes, Yuntu tugged on his tie and suddenly smiled. Why on earth are you saying these things to me here, the Lian family? I don't know what kind of favor the Lian family owes you. But their kind of family will help you once or twice, but after that, they will kick you away like a ball. At that time, what confidence do you have to talk to me? I will say what I said before again. If you are willing to come back, I can consider letting things go, but you must sever all ties with Yoon Daejin and accept all arrangements I give you. Yoonsu is his daughter, this cannot be changed. Her intelligence and value are worth it for him to stop caring about the losses she has caused him before. He leaned on the chair with a confident expression on his face. He thought that these words were enough to make Yoonsu understand her current situation. Yoonsu looked at him strangely. What nonsense was he talking about? She propped herself up on the desk, possessed her body, her restrained aura was fully opened, her eyes were filled with violent aura, and her whole body was full of formidable aura. Yuntu was frightened. Why did she give him such a strong sense of oppression? He didn't dare to look directly into her eyes. Yuntu, do you really think I am relying on the Lian family? What if, how dare she call him by his first name? Ha, it's ridiculous. Believe it or not, I can easily make your Yoon group cease to exist and make you lose everything you have and are proud of now. You'd better not touch my bottom line again. I'm really not that good. Be patient. Yuntu looked at her as if she were a madman, and he took back what he just said about her being smart. You are so crazy. Yunsu chuckled lightly, whether you're crazy or not, we'll see. Remember, don't extend your claws so long, or I'll chop you off. Yuntu was so angry that he didn't want to say any more to this lunatic. Go out. Yunsu straightened up and walked out when his cell phone suddenly rang. I understand, I'll be down right away, you'll wait for me below. Yuntu squinted his eyes and looked at Yunsu's leaving figure, then pressed the intercom. Hello, Mr. Yoon. Go and see who picked up Yunsu downstairs. Okay. 3 minutes later, Jonglin Hai went upstairs to report. Do you see who it is? Yuntu played with the pen. Jonglin Hai had a strange expression, hesitating and not knowing how to speak. Yuntu said impatiently, say. I'm not sure. The person he saw was so amazing that he couldn't be sure. Not sure, Yuntu was suspicious. Does that mean you know that person? I know him, but he doesn't know me. Jonglin Hai looked at him and said, you know him too? I know him too. Yuntu was even stranger. Yes, it seems to be, Sulin. Jonglin Hai hesitated to finish the sentence, and he couldn't believe it himself. Who are you talking about? Sulin, Yuntu said in disbelief, his pupils dilated. How could he not know who Sulin is? He is a senior executive of Junya Group, the right-hand man of the president of Junya Group, and a research and development expert. It can be said that he has conquered less than half of Junya Group. Isn't Sulin in the capital? Why did you come to Lanchinge? Why haven't you received any news? Besides, how could such a person have anything to do with Yunsu and come to pick her up in person? Yunsu spoke to him in a very casual manner. What on earth is going on? Thinking of what Yunsu just said, I originally thought she was talking nonsense, but now, Yuntu suddenly felt a little uneasy. Yuntu suddenly asked, did you give Duchi from the Industrial and Commercial Department 200,000 yuan to block Yoon Daejin's business license? Yes. Why did Mr. Yoon ask this? Wasn't this what he asked him to do? Did you call it from an encrypted account? Yes, it was transferred to his son's account, so we can't find it out. Can't we find out? Yuntu said with sinister eyes. She came to question me, but you said she couldn't find out. No, Mr. Yoon, I was really careful, Jonglin Hai hurriedly explained. Okay, you go down first. I'll think of a solution. Yoon waved his hand, full of confusion. Yes, Jonglin Hai did not dare to say any more and was about to leave. That's not good, Mr. Yoon. What's wrong? Yoon-2's forehead was throbbing with veins. Police, the police are coming. What? Yoon-2 was shocked. How could it happen so fast? Yoon-2, Jonglin Hai, right? It is found that you two are suspected of a bribery crime. Please come with us to cooperate with the investigation. This is an investigation order. Gu Pingsheng came to the door and showed his ID and investigation order. It was businesslike and there was nothing wrong with it. Jonglin Hai had never seen such a scene before. He was a little panicked and quickly looked at Yoon-2. Yoon-2 gave him a warning look. Don't say what you shouldn't say. The two got into the police car with gloomy faces. Less than half an hour, the news that Yoon-2, chairman of the Yoon Group, was taken away by the police spread throughout Lanchinge, and major media rushed to report it. Yoonchi Group's stock price continues to fall. End of this chapter. After Rebirth, Boss, she is beautiful and sassy. Author, beautiful. Chapter 150. Chapter 150. Another confrontation. What's going on? Yoon-soo asked in a deep voice as he got into the car. Suling-ang said on the phone that Yoon Cheng had suffered an inexplicable hacker attack and there was no way to crack it yet, so he hurriedly came to pick up Yoon-soo. Our company's intranet has been attacked. They are trying to steal our data. There is still the last layer of firewall that has not been breached. The attack from the other side is fierce. Lan Chi and the others are trying to figure out a way. Yoon-soo frowned and became serious. Do you know who it is? It's not clear yet. Lan Chi was also a little anxious. Sometimes he didn't know who the most terrifying enemy was. Then go back to the company quickly. Okay. Lan Chi stepped on the accelerator and the car accelerated. Yoon-soo fell into thinking, has the news about their holographic game been leaked? Yooncheng has always acted cautiously. All employees have signed confidentiality agreements and no news has been leaked. How could there be unprovoked attacks by hackers? And it's a hacker that even Lan Chi and others can't solve. As soon as he arrived at Yooncheng, Yoon-soo felt the stagnant atmosphere in the company. When people from the technical department saw Yoon-soo, they immediately surrounded him as if they were seeing a savior. You guys look at me, I look at you, and I lower my head in shame. I'm sorry, Sister Yoon, you are still attacking us. We can only resist for a while, and we can't fight back. After hearing Yoon-soo's words, Sulin became more and more anxious. All their information and data could be hidden in the intranet. Once leaked, the consequences would be disastrous. Is there any way? Yoon-soo, give me the computer and I'll take a look. Lan Chi quickly handed his computer to Yoon-soo. The opponent seemed to realize that Yoon Cheng had changed his team, and also changed his attack method. Yoon-soo's hand movements became faster and faster, and soon, the two sides had exchanged blows several times. How long has it been? Yoon-soo asked. A strange red light flashed on the computer screen, which was a sign of being attacked. Yoon-soo squinted his eyes and looked carefully. Lines of code appeared and disappeared quickly. This was because the other party was trying various methods to gain entry. Of course, Yoon-soo raised his eyebrows and showed a slightly evil smile. If he had the guts to offend her, he hoped he would have the guts to bear it. It seemed to be a tentative attack before later. After discovering our encrypted intranet, we probably wanted to find something. The attack method suddenly intensified and became fierce. We didn't stop it. After seeing the opponent's attack method clearly, Yoon-soo also started to fight back, with his fingers dancing, almost leaving an after image. Yoon-soo shook his head and said, I don't blame you. The guy on the other side is really not something you can handle. Yooncheng's computers are all specially configured, and they are all encrypted by Yoon-soo. Yunsu knows that although the firewall he has set up is not particularly complicated, it is absolutely impossible for ordinary people to open it. It can be seen that the other party is definitely not an ordinary hacker. Yunsu looked at everyone. How are you now? An hour, Yunsu frowned. With the speed and method of this attack, it stands to reason that this firewall cannot last this long. It's almost an hour. Suddenly, Yunsu paused with his fingers. This kind of offensive and defensive method? It seems a bit familiar. Sister Yun, you are finally here. Baya said angrily, I'm sorry, Master, I've embarrassed you. As the only Yunsu's disciple present, Baya felt the most uncomfortable. He always felt that he was sorry for Yunsu's teachings and had embarrassed her. Master. The people in the technical department watched attentively. There were not many opportunities to see Yunsu take action with their own eyes, even if they could learn a little bit. To confirm his suspicion, Yunsu paused and changed his attack method. Sure enough, the opponent was stagnant for a few seconds. The way he fought back made Yunsu smile. Sure enough, it was him. Yunsu no longer hesitated. After a few rounds, he defeated the opponent's attack and successfully captured the opponent's computer. Yunsu took out his cell phone and made a call. It rang a few times before the call was answered. Hello, Yunsu, how could she call him? Hang Mo, are you busy now? There should be quite a lot going on in the laboratory. Say Hang Mo put down what he was doing. Where is your dad, do you know? Are you willing to see him? Hang Mo in the laboratory stood up instantly and asked in surprise, then frowned, but he seems to have taken on a task in the past 2 days. Okay, I get it. Hang Mo looked at the hung-up phone and frowned. What did Yunsu mean? Is this seeing his father or not? What he didn't know was that the two had already fought again without knowing their identities. After confirming his guess, Yunsu paused and typed a few words. Haven't seen you for a long time. 4 big characters as bright as blood appeared on the computer screen. The man's hand, covered in loose clothes, stopped instantly, and his pupils suddenly tightened. It was really her. How could it be her? What's wrong? Why did you stop? Seeing him stop, the man on the side immediately asked nervously. She broke my offensive. The man's voice was hoarse, and his tone, which was always as calm as an ancient well, had a hint of excitement. What? How is it possible? The man jumped up like a monkey whose foot was stepped on, and screamed, full of disbelief. You are in red, how could anyone break your offensive? Nothing is impossible under the hood, the man showed a wry smile. This was the second time. He was defeated by the same person for the second time. He clearly felt that he couldn't make much progress, so why did he still lose so quickly? The man was Hong Yi, who had fought with Yunsu in Lishan. The man next to Hong Ai looked shocked and angry, looking at the man standing aside who was also in disbelief. Liwo, you guys must give me an explanation. I paid such a high price to hire you. I can't possibly let my money go down the drain, right? Lai Huo's face changed. Mr. Su, don't worry, there must be some accident. You also know that with Hong Yi's skills, how could he miss it? Hong Yi, hurry up and try again. You must be more serious this time. Hong Yi raised his head and looked at Li Huo with indifferent eyes. It's not an accident. What do you mean? Li Huo was stunned. It was an accident the first time, will it be an accident the second time? He was convinced. The second time? What, the second time? Wait, Li Huo suddenly thought of something and his eyes widened. You mean, that time? Hong Ai sighed inwardly and nodded. How could it be him? He actually appeared again. Li Huo opened his mouth in shock, and then paced around the room upset. If it is really him, we will be in trouble. Wait a minute, what are you talking about? Suda on the side rubbed his brows and was impatient. He was confused. What kind of riddle were these two people playing? Who is he? What makes you YN so afraid? Aren't you the top hacker organization in the country? Lihuo was silent. He really didn't want to mention that person again. Since YN was established for so long, that was the most shameful day. A game used to establish prestige turned out to be a blessing for others, became a springboard for others, and made others famous. No matter how many methods they used later, they could not find him again. It was as if they had had a ridiculous dream, and the man disappeared without a trace like a bubble. Leave only one name, maybe just a code name, Su. They don't even know which word it is. To this day, people on hacker forums are still talking about his legend. How could such a person suddenly appear again? He is Su, Lihuo said the name. Su, Suda was confused. Who is Su? He has never heard of this name. Is he a famous hacker? Then why has he never heard of it? He is. Lihuo was a little hesitant. After all, he was now employed by someone. If he said it, wouldn't it make his employer distrust them even more? He is the one who defeated me within 10 minutes. Hong Yi's voice was steady, and he had calmed down. What? Defeat you in 10 minutes, Suda was shocked. What is this concept? What a terrifying figure this is. How come he hasn't heard of this kind of person? Why haven't I heard his name? Agni, that's because he only appeared once, and that time, he defeated Hong Yi. Suda frowned and thought deeply. It seemed that he was a very difficult opponent. Etc. Wrong. How could such a person be in Yunchinj? What is Yunchinj doing? If you can recruit this person to work, it will definitely be more than just a simple game company. He pressed the intercom and said, "Call Wu Weiming up." Yes, Mr. Su. 2 minutes later, Wu Weiming knocked on the door of Suda's office, with a smile on his face. "Mr. Su, are you looking for me?" Wu Weiming was the man in a suit who was rejected when he went to Yunchinj for an interview. He finally joined Figzu. "Tell me more about Yunchinj." "Yes, Mr. Su." Even though he had said it several times, Wu Weiming still took the trouble to say, "When I went to Yunchinj for an interview, it was entirely for Sulin. As you know, he is a senior executive of Junyu, but he is thousands of miles away. I went all the way to Lanchinj. It was said that they were engaged in some kind of game. I thought it had more development prospects at the time, so I went there. I didn't expect that although Sulin really existed, the concept of that company was completely inadequate, and they even talk so brazenly about their company. Let the market make way for them." Speaking of this, Wu Weiming is still angry and full of contempt. Suda frowned. He always felt that there was something he had overlooked, and he wanted to sort it out. The market made way for them, that's ridiculous, Suda snorted coldly. He really dared to say anything. Did Sulin say this? No, she's a very young girl. Girl, Suda wondered, do you know her identity? I don't know, but Sulin and others seem to respect her very much and call her Sister Yun. She is obviously younger than them. Wu Weiming didn't understand either. Sister Yun. Suda has never heard of this person. Hong Yi's heart moved slightly. Could it be that she is? End of this chapter.